3 days ago, my bank account showed a dash. Not almost empty. Not barely anything. Zero. Today, I'm sitting in an office with glass walls and high ceilings in the center of the city. The kind of place that convinces people you were always meant to end up here. And in the next room is the most beautiful woman I've ever painted. She's married. She asked me to paint her in secret. And the man she's married to is the same man who, 3 days ago, changed everything about my life with a single commission. I didn't know what I was walking into. I only knew it felt impossible to say no. 10 years. That's what the judge gave me. And somewhere across the ocean, the woman I love is living a life I can't reach anymore, carrying something I left behind. That's where this ends. But that's not where it starts. If you're new here, subscribe before we go any further. Hit the notification bell. Share this with one person before this video is over. Not because the story is entertaining, because it's real. And real stories have a way of asking you questions you weren't ready for. Let me take you back. I grew up with nothing in a way that leaves marks. Not the kind of nothing that gets romanticized later, the humble beginnings, the hungry artist, all of that. I mean the kind of nothing where poverty wasn't a chapter. It was the whole book. You could see it on me, in the shoes, in the way I held myself in rooms where I didn't belong. I had one thing. I could paint. Not just competently. I could look at a face once for 30 seconds and put it on canvas in a way that made people feel something they couldn't name. I didn't understand it as a gift for a long time. I understood it as the only option. I painted on whatever I could afford, sold pieces on the street, took small commissions from people who wanted something that looked expensive but wasn't. I kept going. I don't know why exactly. Some combination of stubbornness and the specific delusion that things were about to change. Then they did. His name was Adam. 76 years old. The kind of man who had been wealthy for so long that money had become invisible to him, just the water he moved through. He found me through someone who knew someone. He needed a portrait painted. His wife. Birthday gift. Private commission. He told me her name was Maria. He said she was 43. He didn't prepare me for anything else. I arrived at the house, and I used that word loosely. It was more like a statement. And she walked into the room and I lost, for just a moment, the thread of why I was there. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. Not in a way I could have painted from memory. In a way that made me need to look longer than was professional, and then look away, and then look again. She wanted a nude portrait. She said it plainly. The way people say things when they've been comfortable their whole lives, and discomfort is something that happens to other people. I said yes, and spent the entire session unable to fully concentrate, which is not something I had experienced before with work. I'm usually very controlled when I paint. That day I was not controlled. That day I was managing. I delivered it. That same night, she found my apartment. I don't know how she got the address. I didn't ask. She stood in my doorway and looked at the way I was living, the stacked canvases, the bad lighting, the general evidence of a life that had not yet started, and she didn't flinch. She offered me a job. Not the portrait job, something else, something larger. 3 days later, I had $2 million in my account. Here is what I didn't understand about Maria when I first met her. She was not Adam's wife in the way most people are someone's wife. She was the engine of everything he owned. She brought the clients. She managed the relationships. She understood better than anyone that certain collectors needed certain things that the legitimate market could not provide. Copied paintings, authenticated fakes, forged documents and passports built well enough to pass inspection by people whose job it was to know the difference. She had seen the nude portrait and understood immediately what I was capable of. Not just the technical skill, the instinct, the ability to make something feel true when it wasn't. She introduced me to the network quietly. No formal meeting, no explanation of the full structure. Just a party here, a client there, a conversation near an exit where someone says a number and you either nod or you don't. I always nodded. They started calling me Project 24, the turnaround time. 14 hours for a delivery that took other people a week. Nobody else was doing what I was doing at that speed, at that level. I didn't ask enough questions about where things were going after I handed them over. That was deliberate on my part. I knew what I was doing, and I chose not to look at it directly. Adam went into hospital about 4 months into all of this. A specific ailment. He'd been managing it for a while, apparently. Maria visited him every day, mornings, sometimes afternoons, sat with him, made sure he was cared for. And then she came to my apartment at night. She moved her things in gradually, a bag at first, then more. I didn't stop it. I should be honest about that. I didn't stop any of it. I told myself it was her decision, that I was not responsible for the complications of her life. She told me she loved me in the way that some people say things, not as an announcement, just as a fact they're placing on the table. Matter of fact. Steady. I didn't say it back. Then she told me she was pregnant. And I said something I cannot take back. I told her I wasn't ready, that I didn't want this, that I couldn't be the person she needed me to be for something like that. She didn't argue. She didn't cry, at least not in front of me. 3 days later, the police came. They moved through my apartment methodically. I watched them open drawers and lift canvases and bag things I had spent years making, and I understood from the first 5 minutes that something had been arranged. This was not random. This was specific. They found a portrait, genuine original, stolen from a museum 5 years prior. I had never touched it. I had never seen it before that morning. I was charged, sentenced to 10 years. My accounts frozen. Maria gone. I'm going to pause here for a second because I need you to do something. Share this right now. Send it to one person who needs to hear a story about what happens when you're not honest with yourself about what you're building. This is that story. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now. Because what comes next is the part I'm still living inside of. I've been inside for a while now. What I can tell you is that Project 24 doesn't stop because the address changes. I still paint. The warders look the other way. Work moves through intermediaries. The network is patient. By the time I walk out of here, I should be worth more than $20 million. I say should. I've learned to hold that word loosely. I tried to find out about Maria. Asked through channels I still have access to. Nothing concrete for a long time. Then a reliable source told me something I've been sitting with ever since. Adam set me up. Not out of malice, exactly. He found out about Maria and me. He didn't want me dead. Maria apparently made sure of that. She pleaded for me, but he wanted me gone. Unreachable. Out of her life for long enough that whatever she felt would have time to settle into something manageable. So he planted the painting, had me removed, then moved Maria to another country. I don't know which one yet. And here is where I've been stuck for months now. Adam is the man who pulled me out of poverty. He gave me the first commission. His network, or rather, his wife's version of it, gave me everything I have. Even now, incarcerated, I am protected in ways that trace back to him. He covered for me. He just also destroyed me. Is that love? Is that ownership? I genuinely don't know. If I go to the authorities, if I give them what I know about Adam's company, the brokerage role they played in moving forged pieces, the deals, I could reduce my sentence. I could get out earlier. I could get back at him for what he did to me. But Maria gets pulled into it. She is somewhere safe right now, pregnant, protected. If Adam goes down, she goes with him. And my child, if that's what it is, if that's still what she's carrying, enters the world in circumstances I caused. Can I do that? And then the other question, the one underneath that. Is it even his fault? His wife fell in love with another man. He didn't plan that. He responded the way a man responds when the thing he loves most is being taken from him. He just had more resources than most people do when they respond. Is that who I'm angry at? Or am I angry at myself? I'm not a good person. I've stopped trying to argue otherwise. But I'm not sure I'm the villain of this story either. I'm not sure anyone is, cleanly. Adam gave me everything and then took it away because he was afraid. Maria loved me, and I told her I didn't want her child, and 3 days later my life ended. Maybe those things are connected. Maybe I earned exactly where I am. I keep painting. I keep working. I keep asking questions through channels that shouldn't exist inside a prison but do, because certain skills make certain rules flexible. And somewhere across an ocean, a woman I never said the right things to is raising something I helped make, in a country I haven't found yet, protected by a man who had me put here. I'm still Project 24. I'm still running. But I'm at a crossroad I don't have a map for. So here's what I need from you. Drop a comment. I mean, really think before you type. Should I give Adam up to the authorities, reduce my sentence, get out earlier, get back at the man who planted that painting in my house? Or do I protect him, protect Maria, protect my unborn child, and sit in here for 10 years knowing I could have walked sooner? Is Adam the villain? Or is he just a 76-year-old man who didn't want to lose his wife? And the question I can't answer alone, did Maria plant it? Did she do it because I told her I didn't want the baby? Or was it Adam all along? Leave your answer below. I read every single one. Subscribe if you're not already here. Hit the bell. This story is not finished, not even close. The next chapter is already in motion. Project 24 is still running. And I've got time.